Tsuruko Returns The Favour, a shonen comedy manga published in Jump Plus since summer 2023, has died. Authored by Hidari Yokoyama, it was about a stoic teacher who, in an attempt to overcome the lingering grief of his sister's death, starts regularly attending a maid cafe where she had once worked. It's here where he discovers that one of his students is employed by the cafe, which regularly changes its concept all around the maid motif. Hijinks ensure. Known visually for its colorful pages and covers blending of moe and chibi aesthetic, Tsuruko's writing operates on standard misunderstanding tropes that you would come to expect from a typical manga of this sort. Unfortunately, this series never rises above typical tropes. Throughout the 39 chapters, I never saw any real attempt at escalation when it came to the art or the plot. It became repetitive, safe, bland, but were there any redeeming qualities to Tsuruko? Is it still worth the read? The humor of the manga sometimes hits. I think the dialogue between characters can be a high point at times, and it's all clearly structured so you know who's talking to whom about what, and when the punchline is delivered, it does hit. All of the other dialogue, it's not as interesting. However, when the adult characters are talking, that's when I'm really invested in what's going on. Very similar to Ruri Dragon, I feel like some of these mangaka are just naturally stronger at writing good adult characters, and they assume all teenagers are kinda dumb, so they give their teenage cast a baseline IQ. Yeah, that's not how you write a great cast. You need to always consider the reader. You need to give them the benefit of the doubt. Don't make your characters stupid. The only time I ever really felt the young cast was strongly written was when Tsurumi started reflecting on if her affections towards Nikocado were romantic or not. Her character development in general was pretty great, seeing her become more social and warming up to the rest of the cast in the back half of the manga. I would have liked to have seen more of that and less of the dead sister plot. Man, how useless was that? And that kinda sucks because we spend so much time on the dead sister, and the big reveal in chapter 36 was one of the best written manga chapters of the year this far, no cap. It felt very mature and poignant. Misunderstanding tropes suck in modern manga, but this one in particular wrapped up just fine. If only the mangaka had written a stronger lead up to it, it could have been so much more worthwhile. The idea of love being more than platonic but different than romantic is a great topic, and one that isn't often explored. If the manga had been about that the entire time, I could see this series being much more popular and still ongoing, in fact. The adults understand the complexities of affection perfectly, while the younger cast, they're unable to even grasp liking someone else more than themselves. This is as mature as it is well written. And again, the adults shine through when they reveal that them being hyper invested in hobbies doesn't betray who they are as people. There's nothing wrong with being an otaku. In fact, one of the characters in this series looks like your prototypical adult otaku, but he's a well-adjusted individual who has a wife and has personal ambitions that he's achieving, all the while appreciating his hyper fixation on young idols. At times, Tsuruko Returns The Favour reads like a much more mature series than it actually is. The writing is great, but the shortcuts with the art really started to piss me off. Yokoyama is a sensational artist. They have an undeniable eye for patterns and color, blocking and framing. So why are there so many instances of lazy artwork throughout the second half of this series? Empty panels, constant close-ups, it's an embarrassment. When you're as good as you are, your expectations are going to be much higher, and you should be reaching those expectations more often than not. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Yokoyama is quite clearly a very talented individual. I think they have an arresting pen game and knows how a normie manga that runs in a Shueisha magazine should be structured. But they're not doing themselves any favors by sticking with these cutesy teeny bopper stories that are aimed at a juvenile audience. This is their second cancelled series. It's clear that the high school setting doesn't lend itself well to how they as a writer writes their characters and how they develop the ongoing plot. Hidari Yokoyama can, without a doubt, become a household name if he tackles more mature subject matter. I think him partnering up with a writer who specializes in human drama type stories could work, or perhaps they can remain a solo creator and focus on a monthly manga with a stronger emphasis on character motivations and the end goal of a series. Is Tsuruko worth reading? I suppose, but in a turn your brain off way. Funnily enough, I think this would have made a great single season of anime. I really do love the artwork, and while I'll tune in for whatever the mangaka does next, I can't say that I'll have any real expectations for something stand out. 3 out of 10.